Hi everyone and welcome back to this channel of crafting, crochet and knitting. My name is Nikki and this is the first video of 2021. Happy New Year everybody! Let's hope that it improves upon the last year. We all know how that one went. But that's strange though, because technically when we put New Year in the calendar, it's really just like a concept for us. Other countries have got different New Years, so why we would think 2021 would necessarily be better than 2020, I don't know, but I think we're just hoping it will be better than 2020. So yeah, Happy New Year nonetheless. Let me know if you had a good Christmas and New Year in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you got up to. I think I said in a previous video that we kept ourselves to ourselves and we just had a Christmas together at home. But it was really good. I got some great knitting and crochet supplies. So I thought that I would do the first video of 2021 on the various tools that I have in my arsenal for doing knitting and crochet. However, I was doing some sort of pre-recording for this video and realised that I have quite a lot of tools across the different skills. So what I'm probably going to do is just talk to you guys about my knitting gear at the moment, because I have a bit of knitting gear and I'm using that more at the moment. So yeah, we'll start with knitting stuff and then I will do some videos in the future about my crochet stuff and some other general tools. Okay, so the first thing to note is that you don't actually need to spend a lot of money on knitting. The hobby can seem expensive, but for me personally, I've always just avoided it and gone for cheaper alternatives. And that does mean that I'm slightly limited in what I can make with, and I'm expanding that now. But in terms of starting, if you just want to get into it, there's lots of stuff you can make with basic acrylic yarn, basic knitting needles. So don't let cost discourage you. If you want to try it, there are ways to try it, and then as you get better at it, you can start investing in more stuff. So this is my knitting needle holder, which was made by my mother-in-law. Really nice to wrap up. Oh, I've opened it the wrong way. Hang on. This way round, and it just unrolls and I've got all my knitting needles in here. Now the other thing is, I did not buy all of these needles. I bought the wooden ones and I bought some of the metal ones down here, but I'll talk about that in a bit. All of the ones that are in blue packaging and these ones that need to go back in their blue packaging, I was kindly given. So shove that back in there. And then also I was given some 5 and 5.5 mil needles as well. So that was handy, that was helpful. Some people were giving stuff away. But that's because, again, as people level up, they tend to not like using their older stuff, and so they can just give it away to people who are beginners, which is great. But I did buy a very long time ago, this little cute pair of 4mm needles, which were my starter set. And I'm gonna say, there's not a lot you can do on this. If you want to make a million blanket squares on this, then you could do that. But really, no. This is very much a starter set. I was very young when I started knitting, and my mum taught me just how to do a few basic stitches, and I made little blankets and scarves for my teddy bears. So that's what this pair was good for. But as I got more into it, I bought myself a set of 2 needles, which are, if I get them out here, which was a 4mm and a 3.25 mil set of needles. Now I mostly use the 4mm because as I was starting out, I found the 3.25 a bit too small for me, and also the yarn I'm using, so pretty much acrylic DK, where it's about £1 for a 100-gram ball. I didn't really get on with doing a DK weight on these needles, so I typically stuck to my 4mm. And these have been my staple pair that I still use when I'm using straight needles at the moment. So I think if you're starting out, I would say that a 4mm or a 5mm is an ideal size to go for. So just pop those back in there. Bad start, I've got the wrong needles. There we go. And then these wooden ones were ones that I bought when I wanted to start doing something that had a bit more texture to it. So what I would do was get 2 different coloured DK weights and use 2 strands and make chunkier stuff. So I've got a 6mm pair, an 8mm pair and a 10mm pair. Now, the reason I really like these is because they are pretty much metal through and through. They've got lots of resistance and lots of weight to them. I like that. Other people don't. Other people find heavy straight needles terrible to put up with. So these ones in blue are hollow, and those people would probably enjoy that because they're a lot lighter, but they also have more give in them. So if I just use this pair that I've got out, this is the 3mm pair. That's got way more bend in it. So I do use them, but just to cast on some stuff. I don't actually use them for the rest of the knitting. I'm a bit of an aggressive knitter, so I need something with resistance. But when you get to something which is 7 or 8 mils, you're going to struggle to find something. If you fancy that heavier weight and high resistance, you're not going to find much in chunkier needles because they do it hollow to make it lighter and to cut costs. And I don't like that very much. So I switched to wooden ones. So even though these are a lot lighter and I would prefer a heavier weight needle, they've got lots of resistance. And so that was at least a pro for me on that. So there's no one size fits all knitting needle for everybody. And this is why I've just got so many of these cheap ones than ones I've just been given, because there's no point going and buying a needle that's not going to work for you. So if you can, try different needles, borrow them from friends when you're starting out and work out which ones you like. But if not, I would say you're looking at probably starting on something which is about 4 or 5 mil, and learning how to do stuff with that before you then move on to other bits and pieces. Yeah, so those are my simple straight needles for knitting. More recently, I graduated to double pointed needles. So these are so called because they have a point at each end rather than having something that stops stitches falling off your other end. And a colleague gave me this pair to borrow to start making my first pair of socks. So I might have shown you these before. These are about 18 centimetres, and I would say that is a good length for adult size socks. However, I did not realise this until I had put a pair of double pointed needles in my basket, which are the shorter ones here. Which hopefully you can see that on the camera. These are 15 centimetre double pointed needles, and when I got them I realised my mistake. So if I was using just one set of 15 centimetre double pointed needles, or using 2 sets of them for 2 socks, I would struggle, because when it comes to doing the heel, I stick all the other stitches onto one needle as like a front section. So that means you've got 30 or 32 stitches on that front section. They're not going to fit on these 15 centimetres. And what I have been doing with my socks has been using half of these ones and half of these ones to make them, and then arranging them so that whenever I have more stitches on a needle, it's on these needles and less stitches are on these, which is really comfortable actually. I really liked doing it that way. However, I do have to return those at some point. So I, for Christmas, got a set of 20 centimetre double pointed needles, so a bit longer than the ones I've borrowed. So that might be a bit awkward, I don't know, we'll see, but I'm going to do the same trick where I use half from each set when making a pair of socks, because I like to make both socks at the same time. So I like to have 2 sets of double pointed needles, and then swap them and use bits from each to make each pair of socks. So those are my double pointed. And then I've got some bits that are not strictly just for knitting, although actually this one probably is. So this one here is a cable needle. I've got 2 of these. I'm using one at the moment, so it's currently actually with a project. And these are just for like holding a couple of stitches whilst you're doing some more detailed work. Now, I actually prefer my other one, which is with my project, because this has this round dip in the middle. And I didn't really like that. It didn't feel as comfortable for me when I was doing my work. I've got one which has an actual full-on triangle bend, so a much sharper corner in the middle here, and I preferred that one. It felt like it was more secure with the stitches. Other people will prefer others, to just show you the range you can get. And then these here are an absolute lifesaver. These are stitch holders in different sizes. When I was first trying to make a jumper on straights, so on straight needles, I was really struggling because I only had, in bigger sizes, 1 set of needles at the time. And I had to keep putting like a shoulder onto a spare needle whilst I worked on the other shoulder, or I had to keep the back of the garment on a needle whilst I do the front of the garment, and it was just so fiddly. I was trying to hold stitches on needles that were not the right size, just whilst I was using the needles that I needed to do the rest of the garment. And then I got hold of some of these, and it was just a total game changer, because I could put a couple of shoulder each on those, and I could put a full length of a jumper on this, and I could just not worry about it anymore. It was amazing. So thoroughly recommend these for when you're starting to do more complicated stuff. Okay, just quickly stick those back in there so that I don't lose them. The last thing I'm going to talk about is a kit that I actually invested more money in. So this is something that I only recently got, so just during 2020 I think it was, when I was really starting to think about doing a garment. So I just said about how I was trying to make a jumper on straight needles. I was really struggling because I just couldn't put it up to my body properly and work out whether it was going to fit or not. I was remaking it and I was really hating it, and I was like, I need circular needles. So circular needles, I've got some in the project bag here, have this flexible bendy circle on them that connect your 2 knitting needles together. So you can either knit backwards and forwards and just keep swapping sides, or you can knit in a round and just keep going in a circle. And so that's what I got. I got this set here. So I've not paid to sponsor anything here. This is just the set that I picked. It was actually one of the cheapest. So this was a Knit Pro Zing. And it comes with 8 different sizes of needle, and it came with 4 cables, so it came with 2 of the same length, 1 bigger, 1 smaller. This is the smaller one here, and so I've been using the 2 bigger one, the 2 medium ones and the big one to do jumpers with, and yeah, basically I decided I wanted to make more jumpers, and if I was going to make a jumper, then I was looking at buying a circular needle for the rib stitching around the base of the jumper and also for like the cuffs, and I was looking at buying then a couple of sizes up to do the rest of the jumper, because typically when you're doing ribs you're gonna rib stitch, you're gonna move down a size, and that was already going to be what, like a £5 per pair. It's going to be like a tenner, and I just thought if I'm going to spend £10 on 2 needles, I may as well spend a bit more and get an interchangeable set. So these needles are separate from the cables, which are stored in the back. They also come with these, sorry about the reflections, they also come with these stoppers. So if you have done the sleeve and you're going to be connecting it straight up to the work, so you need to leave the stitches on the cable, you can stop them with this. So instead of using those stitch holders that I showed you before. So I got this, and it was so worth the investment. I'm now using these for some flat projects as well, just because they feel nicer. Anything where I'm increasing or decreasing that would feel like there was tension to it if it was done on a straight, I'm doing on these instead. I've been doing some jumpers and cardigans on this. It is so much more flexible. So I was fully happy with this purchase, but this is something that after 10 years of knitting on and off, I actually invested in, now that I've got money and an income. So I don't expect everybody to go out and buy this. That's not how this works. But yeah, I was really glad about this, and also I have bought extra needles and extra cables for the set. So because I'm using this for one project, and these are my 5mm needles that came from the set, I used the 5mm for jumpers as well. I decided that having a second set of 5mm needles would be a good idea. So I got those for Christmas. And then the other thing is that I've got little extra cables. So I've got a few in this pouch here to go with it. Some smaller ones, and I've got a second pair of the longer one from the kit to match, and then an even longer one there as well. Again, definitely a purchase that I'm just liking adding things into. The other thing that is currently being stored in this little pouch that I can just show you to finish is you can get little stoppers for your needles that come in like just little sewing, well not sewing, but little knitting kits. So you can get some stitch markers, you can get some needle holders, you can get some cable needles, you can get some stitch holder, the lengthy ones I showed you. Yeah, so you can get all those in just like in a little kit, which is what I did, so I didn't spend that much money on those. Anyway, yeah, this is exactly why I'm only talking about my knitting, because the video is already really long. So I'm only talking about the knitting supplies for today. I've got crochet ones as well to talk to you guys through, and then just also some general stuff as well that I found really useful. So if you're looking to expand your knitting or crochet set, feel free to check in with the next few videos as well. And once again, Happy New Year, and I'll see you in the rest of 2021.